Hey, this is Rich, Tennessee Homestead. How the heck are you today? Listen, yes, I know I'm late on my third part of my regenerative agriculture. Phew, a lot of editing goes into that one, and hopefully I'll have that up directly for you. But this was one that popped up on my radar the other day, and I really wanted to get this out to you. It lets you know that you can do everything right and still have things go wrong. And when you're out looking for land, look hard at what's around you, folks. It can have an adverse effect on your operation. These new herbicides that they're using, like the dicambas and so forth, they not only have a real bad drift problem, they also have a gas off problem. And that could very well be what affected her was not so much drift, but gassing off. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that after her video. But take a look at this. She's trying to get the word out, trying to let people know what's going on out there, and to try to give you a heads up. It's a shame what happened to this lady, and loss of production. There you go. Anyway, let me get off of here and listen to what she has to say. Oh, I almost forgot. I put links to No Till Growers' website and YouTube channel down below. So go and check them out. Really interesting stuff he's got going there.
So I know a lot of us use a lot of compost, and not everyone has access to good compost, and when you need it as well. I know both of us get ours from the same source, but you have a story about getting it from another source and some problems that happened with that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. I want to spread this knowledge to everyone near and far. So we were in need of a little bit more compost after using a high quality source, and had a quick timeline. And so, we did what a lot of us do, which is someone offered a hand, and you maybe feel a little skeptical at first because it was a horse farmer, and they said that they used this manure, this composted manure, for years, and other people had used it and farms had used it, and we decided to go with it. We picked up a couple of truck beds full, and it was awesome and free and really generous. We put it down our beds. It looked good, smelled good. We planted hundreds of feet of tomatoes into it, and about 3 weeks later, our tomatoes that burst up and were a great big size, they have major leaf curl. Originally I thought, because we had a few major wind days, I was like, maybe this is wind damage. It's like a physiological response. It lasted, it didn't go away. When weather calmed down, I asked around, and I got lots of that looks like herbicide drift, which in our setting doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I called out our local extension agent, and she immediately said, "Where'd you get your compost from?" I told her the story. It was from this horse farmer, a friend of ours, and she told me what likely happened is there was because the person we got it from doesn't spray any herbicide, but likely it was a neighbor sprayed something years ago. It drifted into her pasture. That is likely 2,4-D, as a common herbicide used for broadleafed plants, and then that was eaten by the horse, turned into manure, composted for years, came to us, and she said any nightshade planted in this space will be severely damaged. You give it at least 5 years before you plant nightshades again. So thankfully we didn't spread that compost in our entire farm. It was just about half of one of our fields, and there are other crops and families that we can put in there in the interim, but really be mindful of what you're putting in your soil. 5 years is a long time to never be able to put any nightshades in that space.
So there's any way to remedy that, or could you remove a lot of the material? Was that even an option?
Yeah, she said you'd either need to dig it out. She said there are some products, but really time is the best thing. Okay, so takeaways here, and make sure you getting good compost, but also maybe even try it in an area before you spread it. Yeah, and in this situation, what we should have done is just not added the compost. We could have amended in another way, or just had a little bit slightly deficient soil in that space. But that would have been a short-term negative versus a 5-year. Right, but you had no idea. No, you have no idea, and it's like I have no blame or anger towards the person who donated compost. It was super generous of them, and what I've learned since is just don't buy any of that. Don't add those amendments in if you don't have like
recommendation.
Yeah, recommendation or just like a printout of what's in there, and like know your composition.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's truly a sad story for her to lose production because of foolish farming techniques used by someone else. I agree with her. I don't think it had anything to do with the lady who was raising the horses and had the manure compost. I do tend to disagree that it was just a 2,4-D issue. One thing that they're not talking much about is the gassing off problem when they mixed the 2,4-D with the Roundup. I saw this firsthand when I was working at the factory because late at night, during a temperature inversions, early morning hours, you would see it in these fields. There'd be no fog around those fields where it was pasture land, but when you hit those croplands, there was a heavy fog. And as it covered your windshield and you took your wipers to try to wipe what I thought the first few times was just water off your windshield so you could see, it was like a sprayed-on oil coating that would coat your vehicle as you drove through. That was gassing off. And you'll notice a lot of trees and so forth around some of those crop fields are dead or dying due to the gas off. That stuff, it's like a fog. It's carried with the air. So, was her horses being contaminated by the grass they ate? Very possibly. Was her entire compost pile being contaminated? If she had a neighbor who was using like a dicamba or something like that, the Roundup 2,4-D mixes, then yeah, it's highly possible that was coating every time there was a temperature inversion, was coating her compost pile with it. So it's sad. Be very cautious of who you have around you. If you have a neighbor who's row cropping, talk to them about what herbicides they're using. And sometimes you got to get a little stand-up-ish and let them know, I will sue you into oblivion if any of this stuff, either by draft or by gassing off, ends up on my land. It sounds harsh, but you need to give them the warning of, I'm not going to tolerate this. This lady probably lost a decent chunk of money. When you're looking for land, look what is around this place. And not just immediately next door, but even a ways off. This gassing off problem is real. It floats on the breeze. It looks like a big, heavy fog, and it moves with the air. So if you're looking for land, pay close attention. If you have some of this going on next door to you, it's time for you and your neighbor to have a heart-to-heart talk and let them know this is not going to be tolerated. You need to change your ways. Good luck with all of it, and I'll talk to you real soon. Have a good one. Bye.